Hi, I'm Dacre Montgomery, and you're watching In Studio with the Hollywood Reporter.
We were talking a few minutes ago about you being a fan of the show, of season 1, and then you got cast for season 2 as Billy. You sent in an audition tape. Can you sort of talk about, was that your idea?
Or, yeah, I just got it and I did it in the day that I received the email about doing an audition, and I kind of thought I needed to be able to stand out, because the show was already such a huge hit 3 months post-release of the first season or whatever it was, and then kind of went all out. But I believe in taking risks, and it's a competitive business, and, I like that I took an artistic big risk, I guess, in many ways.
Part of that was Kiefer Sutherland's a bit from Stand By Me, is that right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies, and it's kind of, I feel like Billy has a little bit of that in him. Was that one of your influences when you were sort of like crafting?
Totally. Yeah, well, I think when they had given me that scene, they hadn't obviously written a huge amount of scenes for Billy yet, so they gave me, the other scene was from the script with what became the car scene with Max in the show. And then the other scene was obviously Stand By Me. And I think there were certain qualities. I was given a lot of Jack Nicholson's kind of career, I guess, to look at in general. I think he makes unusual, unpredictable choices that keep the audience on edge, and I was encouraged to do something similar. But the Duffers are great. I don't really believe in copying someone else's performance, so they were great about building a new character from scratch. And building the arc right from season 2 through 3, even when I started discussing the whole kind of course of Billy's journey right up until the end of the season you will have all just finished watching.
So you knew from the beginning that this was going to be his arc, basically. Is that right?
And his end.
Oh, and his end. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
What kind of expectations did you have going in, and what was the experience actually like for you as a fan of something to then be part of it?
I think you have to separate yourself in some way from the fandom portion in the world so you can contribute to the story in a real way. Do you know what I mean? Like separating yourself in some way, shape or form. In terms of the actual experience, it was fantastic. I mean, that's it. It's such a tribute to the Duffers being such collaborative artists. That's why the show is so successful, I think, in many ways. Yeah. Because the sort of handcuffs feel like they're off and you feel free and you feel like you can create, and it evolves as you go through the process rather than feeling like it's concrete from screenplay through to post. It doesn't feel concrete. It feels like it's ever moving and changing. And I think I admire Netflix for being a new, relatively company that is able to give their artists that outlet to be able to change throughout the process. I admire that. Yeah. So it's better than my expectations. And you were asking me before about watching it, can you separate yourself? I think you can, because I think as a lover of film and television, a cinephile, when I look at product, the best film and TV is something that successfully creates escapism for me. And I think this show is able to do that, and that's why I'm able to separate myself. Even though it's an ensemble cast and there's different storylines happening, I'm able to separate myself because of the cinematography and the score, and everything is just so fully realized. I think that's what makes it what it is.
It's so good. It's so special. Yeah. And I know Billy's kind of like a bad guy, but I found in season 2, I found him really refreshing, because we had Steve in season 1, but it's totally different. It's like a very different type of character. But if you're going to have some sort of archetype of some form of like the bad guy or antagonist or whatever, but I still found it refreshing, and then especially towards the end of season 2, when you sort of understand why he is the way he is, the scene with his dad and everything, that was really eye-opening for the character. Did you know that also in the backstory?
It wasn't written. I actually asked the Duffers, I said he can't be bad because he's bad, like we're all human beings, right? Mm-hmm. And I was interested in humanizing the villain, and they'd spoken a lot about that, and they wrote that scene after we'd already shot episode 4. They wrote that into the script after I had that conversation with them.
I love that.
And I think it was really good because there's, what we're interested in is the grey area between good and bad. That's what's interesting, right? That's what drama spawns from for me. But I don't feel like there is, like we're all human beings, and I think sometimes the question is, well, how do you separate yourself and play that character that's such a bad person? And I think, well, there's qualities of that person in me and vice versa. And I think it's about finding empathy for the character that you play, no matter what it is. And that's how you can humanize the villain, which was a quote that I think, you know, Stephen King had once given, that the Duffers had refreshed to me a lot throughout the shooting process in season 2.
How do you expect fans are going to be reacting now after season 3? And is it sort of similar, do you think, to season 2? Or do you even, do you get do you hear about fan reactions to your character?
Not a huge amount. I'm not great with social media and all those sort of outlets. But I am interested to sort of see how they'll respond.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I thought it was a great season, even though we see Billy immersed in this fantastical kind of sci-fi component this season. I tried to treat it like, so he's possessed, right? He's Billy the Flayed or whatever, but I did a lot of study on people with bipolar and split personality disorder, and how one personality has the spot and control over the being, and how the other personality can be suppressed. And in this season I try to treat Billy like a lackey band, and he's so taut and torn, and I tried to play the flayed Billy in my physicality and the real Billy behind the eyes. And at the end we see that lackey band snap, and I think it's actually a really redemptive ending and a really fantastic payoff for the character, and I'm lucky that I had that arc. I'm lucky to be a part of the series.
Yeah, because it's also, you know, it's a little sad in the first couple of episodes when you see, like, Billy with Mrs. Wheeler at the pool, and he sort of pushes her away, so you can tell, you know, there's that human side to him who doesn't, you know, at first you have this flirtatious thing, which we could also talk forever about Billy and Mrs. Wheeler. I won't do that to you, though. But yeah, you can tell it's just, you know, there's this very innocent woman, and then also with Max, you know, there's a scene where he's talking to her, so it's like you can tell that there's that struggle inside him. But I kind of also want to go back a little bit, because I found out you've been acting basically your entire life, right?
Well, I've been given it a red hot go, but I don't know if I've been lucky of late. But yeah, I had a long time where I was given it a go.
When was it that you wanted to be an actor? What do you remember? What was it, a movie or?
Both my parents work in the film industry, and I grew up on set. And I don't know. I think I fell first in love with the adrenaline of a film set. It's like a family, you know, 14 hours a day every day, and you just you live for that. There is nothing else. And then I fell in love with escapism, which is what I touched on earlier. My dad used to take me to films, and just finding films on occasion that took me places that don't exist, I was fascinated by. And then I told my parents, look, I want to be in front of the camera. And luckily I had really encouraging parents who, for that 10-year period when I didn't book anything and I wanted to go to acting school and so on and so forth, they helped me and paid for everything and stuck it out, you know. And I think a lot of families might think, look, now it's time to move on and try something else.
Oh. Well, they probably understand, you know, sort of what you're going through since they are part of the film industry. They're like, you know, if this is what you want to do, this is what it entails, and they probably have a little bit more of an understanding than most parents.
Yeah,
you know?
I was lucky.
Yeah,
totally.
And because you went to like proper drama school also.
Yeah, in Australia. The first piece of luck, I guess, that met the preparation was getting into school, and I had a lot of growing up to do. I think if I had booked a role before I got into university, I think I would have really messed up my chances. So it was good.
Your chances at what?
I don't know, having a real shot at a career and being really mature and motivated, and I don't think I had work ethic that I do now in the same way. You fell in love, you learn, you have a heart broken, a bit of everything, and I think that's all important in terms of growing up. And I think if I can take that elevated kind of life experience or emotional maturity into my work, then, you know, I think it's an important thing to come into this industry with a good head on your shoulders and keep your family and friends around and keep humble and focused, you know, and read everything under the sun and be really particular about what you pick every, you know, opportunity you're given and every next step you take in this industry. And so excited to finally sort of be given an opportunity. Yeah.
And now what goals do you have now that you're, you know, post Stranger Things world? What are you looking forward to, I guess, for your career?
Yeah, I'm doing a romantic comedy next, which is a big kind of risk for me. I think I'm very scared of comedy. I love to watch it, but I'm scared to play it. The pace is different from drama. The world is different. I think it's a really good ego stripping exercise, this next movie I'm going to be taking part in. to take the piss out of myself a bit. I think to not take myself so seriously.
Yeah.
And really unburden myself of that insecurity, I think, in a way, is really important. I've been working on a podcast for 2.5 years, which comes out next week.
Is that the spoken word?
It's really random, but very exciting. And I had all this beat poetry that I compiled over the years, and had all these amazing musicians come together and compose scores, and I narrate it. And so that's been really cathartic as well. I don't mean to get too kind of meta about this, but you know, it's been a good eye-opening experience too. And I think Stranger Things has been fantastic because it's opened up avenues, you know, even just to use quite a millennial example, like, you know, Instagram, to be able to access all of these people around the world, like a plethora of different artists, musicians. You know, I don't know the music world other than being a fan. I don't have any stake in that world. And to have these musicians open up their hearts and kind of go, it's really random. This Australian guy's sending me this content, and he wants me to compose X, Y, and Z to it. But people have been really receptive, and I'm lucky about that because there are a lot of far more talented people than me in the world who don't get those kind of opportunities.
Yeah.
You know.
What was maybe a challenging scene for you playing? Because it's also pretty physical. I mean, even in just the first or second episode, I think is where you're getting sort of like dragged down those stairs and into that basement. Was the physical stuff challenging for you? And if not, what was?
I love the physical stuff. I love learning from the stunt guys. I think they're incredibly talented athletes, and they're so particular about where everything should be and the timing of everything. And I think it's an art form in itself. I just saw John Wick 3, not to go off topic, but it's amazing.
No, you're fine.
So I'm a big fan of kind of really getting stuck into that sort of stuff. There's a scene in episode 4 in the sauna, and it's a hugely physical and emotional scene halfway through the season. And I took all my prosthetics and my wig and everything off at the end of the week of shooting that scene, and I was covered head to toe in cuts and bruises, and I took all the skin off the top of my toes. And I mean, just kind of invest in it. It's so much fun in a lot of ways. And I find new things to fall in love with about this every day.
Okay. Well, speaking of your prosthetics, we interviewed, one of my coworkers interviewed Gaten, and he was saying that it's not fair, I think, that you have to, that you had a hairpiece. He had to grow his hair out, like, naturally, and you got a headpiece.
A lot of them have to live with it, Even when they leave set, everyone's living with it. It's good I can put on a hat and grow a beard, and, you know, whereas you can see Joe Keery from a mile away facing the other direction. It's just, you know what I mean?
That's true. What's a favorite scene of yours?
The final scene, between Millie and I at the end, I really enjoyed.
How long did that take?
3 days.
Oh, gotcha.
So much fun. Huge set component, huge CGI component.
Yeah. And then what's it like when you step off the set at the end of that last?
I think you have to be able to strip it, you know what I mean?
Sure.
If you've got a partner to go home to, or friends or family, I feel like you can't take that kind of energy back.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by empathizing, finding empathy for the character or similarities. So you can leave and kind of, I remember I had this, you know, super kind of eccentric drama teacher at university, and she used to say, like, pretend you're washing water over your face. And I was at school, I was like, oh, that's such like drama, whatever. And then I get off set and I'm like, I sit in the car on the way home and I'm imagining like the water running down my head, and it's kind of nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
you have such long days. I feel like that short time when you see your partner or whoever, you can't kind of bring it back.
We've all enjoyed watching you.
Thank you.
As Billy, you seem like a great, super talented actor.
Thank you.
Really excited to see where you go from here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys all for watching.